Let's call this meeting to order, please. Ms. Kiana, if you could give us a roll call.
Councilwoman Cleveland. Present. Councilman Sachsenheimer.
Here.
Councilman Jackson. Councilman Evans.
Here.
Councilman Nelson.
Present.
Councilman Hahn.
Here.
Councilwoman Rosso. Here. Councilwoman Campbell. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have a vision statement?
I didn't bring it with me.
I got one.
Please read it.
Well, here. Want me to do vision, mission, or values?
Your choice.
Okay. Values, professionalism, integrity, transparency. Values statement. We uphold our values by being an example of effective municipal government through building a professional team of city officials and staff dedicated to serving the residents of Normandy with integrity and transparency.
Thank you. Very appropriate for tonight's meeting. Third item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. I'm asking for a motion to amend the agenda, adding resolution 23-43, authorizing the city administrator to accept a proposal for the lease of body cameras and add that as item 7 of new business. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the November 14, 2023 regular city council meeting? We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the November 30, 2023 city council workshop meeting?
So moved.
Second, please. Second. Any corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Has anyone signed up for citizens' comments, please?
Loretta Williams.
Please come to the podium.
Hello, I'm Loretta Williams. My address is 5567 Winchelsea Drive. I've been a citizen of Normandy for 27 years and I plan to stay. But I was here last month and I did a citizen complaint and I have not heard back from anyone concerning the complaint that I submitted. So that's why I'm here.
I appreciate that. We've talked on several occasions. And I'm happy to talk to you again if you want to hang around after the meeting or give me a call.
I could give you a call with concerning.
Yeah, you may.
Okay,
Thank
I'd be better if I could stop by.
And that's fine too.
Because it's hard to
Thursday-
get through.
Thursday
So
morning
what
will be a
day?
better day than tomorrow.
Thursday, thank you, appreciate that.
Anyone else? At this time, I'd like to introduce Delitra Hudson, President of the Eastern Division of the Missouri City Clerks and Finance Officers Association.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor Beckman and City Council. My name is Delitra Hudson. I am the president of the Missouri City Clerks and Finance Officers Association Eastern Division, and I am the city clerk for the city of Belle Reve Acres and finance manager for the city of Wellston. Also here with me tonight, I have Dorothy Matthews, who is the city clerk for the village of Hanley Hills. I also have, and if we just stand when I call your name, Laree Reese, city clerk from the city of University City, and Deanna Jones, city clerk from the city of Berkeley. We are here tonight to recognize your city clerk, Mrs. Kiana DeGurmo, for having been awarded the designation of Certified Municipal Clerk from the International Institute of Municipal Clerks and the Missouri Registered City Clerk from the Missouri City Clerks and Finance Officers Association. These certifications are a combination of education and experience, and Kiana is to be commended for her perseverance in achieving these goals and encouraged to continue to pursue her education. The IIMC works to improve professionalism of the Missouri city clerks with municipal city clerks with more than 15,000 members in the 49 in the U.S. and 9 in Canada in the Municipal Clerks Association. The IIMC continues to strive to ensure the education provided is relevant to the needs and the position of the city clerk. The Missouri City Clerks and Finance Officers Association is made up of over 600 clerks and is delegated to educate the city clerks and finance officers throughout Missouri. With changing state statutes and rules governing cities, it is vital that someone is current on those changes and regulations. The MOCCFOA continues to strive to ensure that education provided is also relevant to the needs and the position of the city clerk. And additionally, you as the elected officials are to be commended for your continued support of Kiana as she continues to work towards her certifications. It clearly demonstrates that you recognize the knowledge that she receives at the educational sessions is greatly beneficial to you, the staff, and your citizens. Kiana also continues to serve as the secretary for the MOCCFOA Eastern Division. She's part of my administration. She co-chairs the state membership committee and chair of the division's historical committee and installation committees. And now, I would like to call Kiana to come forth with us. On behalf of the Missouri City Clerks and Finance Officers Association and the Public Relations Committee, along with your friends and peers of the Eastern Division, I now present you with certificates of appreciation from both the IIMC and the Missouri City Clerks Association and Finance Officers Association for your certification and certification completion. Congratulations, and we continue to commit this lifelong journey with you. Oh, just flip one over.
Steve.
There we go.
I know.
It's wonderful.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, no, Steve.
And thank you, and council, thank you for having us.
so much. We appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
All right. Report of officers. Congratulations, Kiana. With the exception of some comments I have with the upcoming bills, I have no report.
Same here.
May I
Ward?
ask you something?
I'm sorry?
May I ask you something?
Sure.
Or point out something? The fence, the USDA, the fence that's in front of the house down Natural Bridge, there is that fourth of a block of weeds. Are they gonna ever clean it? They cleaned up all the other. It looks
I don't
really-
know. I have to look at it and see.
Would you?
I will.
Yeah, it's,
And I'll get more. I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but I'll talk to you after the meeting.
okay.
Thank you. Ward 1 report.
I just have one thing. I'm concerned where, on Ellington, where the speed bump is, there is somebody, as was in Dennis's report, going onto the grass, and now there's ruts several inches deep. I'm a little concerned about that. It's the only one, I mean, there's speed bumps on every street, but that's the only one that somebody is doing that to. I didn't know that, but if the police can keep an extra eye out and hopefully stop it,
Thank you.
that's all I have.
Yeah, we will.
Thank you.
I know the chief is not here, but I still want to give kudos to the Normandy PD. They have been awesome in traffic. Debbie and I was so excited the other day that someone was really revving up, just speeding down the highway, and all of a sudden we heard speeding on the street on Bermuda, and we heard whoop whoop. I'm like, yes, go Normandy. So I'm so excited to see them being so active on Bermuda.
Thank you. Ward 2, any report? No, I don't have.
I just had I had a question for Dennis, but I can.
All right, have you letter,
But I don't have anything right.
Thank you. Ward 3?
The only report I have is from the Excel Center, in conjunction with Goodwill. It's offering free adult high school and free daycare for day and evening classes for the greater St. Louis area. The phone number for that is 314-970-9211. That's something that I can forward to our distinguished city clerk to pass on as well.
Thank you. Councilman Nelson.
The only thing is, are we still going to get the leaves while the weather's nice, or what we gonna do, because our residents
Yeah,
calling?
I'll let him address that when
Yeah,
he gives his
that
report.
was-
Okay, that's all I. that's
Thank
all.
you. Councilwoman?
Okay, the UMSL is starting a certification program in the spring for Advanced Technology Lab. It guides decision in contexts like military operations, disaster response, transportation and urban planning, agricultural management, creates a safer workplace for underground workers, etc. It's on the 4th floor of Benton Hall and opens in the spring. Beyond Housing is in the middle, actively in the middle of serving their holiday friends. We have 5 families in Normandy that are a part of that program that'll be getting gift-giving support for their families for the holidays. The Normandy School Collaborative Forum was last Wednesday, December 6th, but it also is it was recorded and it's on YouTube and Facebook. If you visit their website, you'll be able to view the whole forum, which is informative and quite helpful, and please feel free to contact the school district if you have any questions or concerns. There's another, UMSL is also working on a program which keeps their graduates locally here for employment, and which is a really good plus with having the university here. They're also developing a controlled agriculture program where they'll be growing food inside, and that's really relevant. And David had mentioned at the meeting that they could even investigate vegetables from other countries to start growing here and not have to import, and the cost would go down. They're also working with the Metrolink on Hanley. There is a realtor that bought that property and wants to develop apartments, and St. Louis County and UMSL are overseeing, you know, actually the quality of the apartments and who will they offer to rent them. The other concern I have for Ward 4 is when I looked at the Normandy tree list, I've been talking with Sam for months in regards to the tree at 7226, in regards to pruning the branches towards the house, and also the sidewalk that was told there would be an order to, and we also described what that order would consist of in making that sidewalk safer next to the tree. And then 4249 is not on this list.
What's the complete address there?
7226 Normandy Place. And I've had 3 or 4 conversations with Sam since the beginning of this talking in the late summer. And the resident has called with not receiving a call back. And anyway, and at 7249, at the curve, There's another sidewalk issue, the tree is healthy there, but it's really breaking up the sidewalk. I think the pruning has been done, but it's not on this list. So I have some concerns about that.
7249.
7249, Arcola, 7249. Normandy Place?
Yes,
Oh, there we go, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
sure.
All right, thank you.
Is this entire tree list? Because there's a tree also in Kirkland that's not included.
Right here. Tony?
Yeah.
Hang on, let's
Okay.
keep it harder. All right. City Administrator, any report?
So most of my report is about the business that we have to do tonight, so I can kind of address those in turn. And I will also address the point that Councilwoman Rosso brought up about the tree list when we get to the resolution 2341, which I think that'd be the appropriate time to discuss it. I will just say generally about the budget, or about the business we have to do tonight. A lot of it has to do with a lot of work the Planning and Zoning Commission has been doing, so I want to thank them for all the work that they've put in. And we referred some of these ordinances to them several months ago, or really towards the beginning of 2023, and they've worked hard to create a draft for the council to review. And we'll have a public hearing on those at the January meeting. And then a lot of the other business before the council tonight has to do with grants that we've been awarded, and now we just need to start entering into agreements to make it happen. I also want to give an update on the street assessment. We had an RFQ and we request for qualifications from different firms to do the street assessment. The selection committee, which was the mayor, myself, and Dennis, we found a firm. We had two submissions. One was an out-of-town group and one was a local group. We found that we liked the local group's proposal better, and so right now we're working out, negotiating a scope, an agreement, and a fee for the street assessment, and we hope to have that for the January meeting. Unless there's any other questions, that's my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman, you have a question?
Oh, I underlined, so there's gonna be a couple public hearings coming up.
Yes, any count or ordinance that amends the zoning code requires a public hearing. So we will have a public hearing on any zoning code ordinance. And it looks like we have 3 of them for first reading, so we'll have the public hearing before the second reading.
Yeah. What about the possibilities of a new restaurant you mentioned? Are you talking about the old bar and grill?
Yes, and I have received a special use permit application for a restaurant right there at the circle. Still waiting for all the submission requirements, and if they get that in, then first it goes to planning and zoning for review, and if they make it through that, and then it gets referred up to the city council for review. So, again, it's still pretty early in the process, so we'll see if they make it through.
So we'll have dialogue and communication back and forth about that then?
Yes, and that will also require a public hearing.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Chief Sanders, do you have a report for us?
I do. The
Thank you.
police department report, right on time, spans between November 1st and December 1st. There were 1,903 calls for service. There were 81 business checks, 28 accident reports written, 143 police reports, and 675 summonses written. So as you guys can see from the report, traffic enforcement is up dramatically. And hopefully you guys are seeing a difference in the main corridors. We've had a lot of issues with speeding.
Did we get a report?
I actually have one here.
No.
I was not here the day that the report was due for submission, so I have one. It just didn't make it into the packet, but I have a copy for you guys at the end of the meeting if you'd like. one for your records.
Yeah.
Another thing that the police department's been working on, we've heard all of the complaints about the derelict vehicles. And we've been working with Major Larson. We've done some work with Andy Brim, and he's doing some work with some of our other cities to bring up their codes to mirror our codes, because we believe that we have a pretty good code with regards to enforcement of derelict automobiles. We've actually ordered some new stickers. One of the biggest problems that you guys would see is you call about a car, we go and we sticker it, the person comes outside, they remove the sticker, the next person comes on duty, they don't know that the vehicle's been stickered, so we're wasting a lot of stickers, they're not inexpensive, and then the vehicles are getting additional time before we tow them. So we now have a 7-day time window. It was 72 hours, but nothing in state statute says 72 hours, and we want it in compliance with the law. So you'll start noticing really bright red stickers on the cars. You'll also see a piece of paper that's hanging from the sticker. Anytime an officer stickers a vehicle, we now enter a warning into the mobile ticketing system. So when another officer comes by and they see that same derelict vehicle, they can search that vehicle in mobile ticketing, see it's already been issued the warning. And if the warning is 7 days old, the officer doesn't have to re-sticker it. They can immediately call for a tow and tow the vehicle. So we've removed a ton of vehicles just in the past 30 days. The other thing that I wanted to report outside of the derelict vehicles is the incidences with regard to nuisances at Castle Park. Castle Park, we've been in communication with the management there. There's been some concerns that were passed down to some of the council people. I received the emails. I wanted to get definitive answers. I don't like to come to you guys without answers. We've been working closely with the management at Castle Park regarding the nuisances that are occurring there. Sam did some statistics, and we were able to determine that 25% of the call volume that we're experiencing for Part 1 crimes and Part 2 crimes is coming out of Castle Park. So we talked to them about nuisances, and the new property owner is really, really enthusiastic about working with the police department regarding calls for service and incidences where criminal reports are generated for drug violations or any Part 1 or Part 2 crimes with regards to revoking the leases of the people who are violating the ordinances of the city of Normandy or any state statutes. So we have a good partnership with Castle Park, and we're looking forward to seeing some of the complaints there go down as we begin to get some of the nuisance properties out of the building. Using the nuisance ordinance if necessary, but Castle Park has taken the front and is saying, we're going to take the lead and deal with our residents and enforce the rules. They're also looking at getting security back in the building. They've updated all their cameras. All the cameras are now working again in the building, and they gave the police department access where our officers can log into the cameras from anywhere and see what's going on inside the building. We're tentatively talking about their security feature and whether or not they want to bring the police department back, and we are discussing the potential of writing an MOU to put our officers back inside of Castle Park if that's something that they determine that they are looking for. That's all that I have to report for this month, unless someone has any questions for me.
Yes, Sanders, I wanted to amend our agency on the protests that they were having at UMSL, that we were out there, we were visible, and it was less people than they said it was. I just recommend that we did a great job of handling that, and I don't know if anybody knew about that.
Our officers did a phenomenal job. Thank you, Councilman Nessel, and I'll pass that on. We received the information less than 24 hours before the protest. And due to the legwork of Major Larson, myself, and Captain Beekman developed an emergency operations plan in just a few hours. We had the appropriate amount of staffing for the event, and we were able to reach out to all of the stakeholders in the area, including MoDOT, Bi-State, Missouri State Highway Patrol. We worked with UMSL, St. Louis County, the St. Louis County Drug Task Force, FBI, and all the different agencies that are involved in civil disturbances like this, and we were actually able to reroute all of the traffic on Natural Bridge around the protest to allow them to demonstrate, and then the demonstrators were actually very, very peaceable. They actually agreed to demonstrate after school was dismissed because we couldn't get the school to dismiss themselves early. So they accommodated us, there was no disruptions with regards to traffic, and the officers did a stellar job. We actually got a commendation from people that have been pretty skeptical and leery of police services. The organizer was very thankful. The university's Chief Dan Street was very thankful. Missouri State Highway Patrol sent us some thanks, and the Chief of Belmore sent us some thanks. So I'd like to commend my officers. I think they did a phenomenal job. They're working hard, and they are the model of professionalism. I am a very blessed police chief. Thank you.
Yeah, and
What
to
was the
piggyback off
protest
that,
about?
it was
Ceasefire in Palestine.
Yeah. To piggyback off of that, I had less than an hour notification of that protest to pick up my daughter. So that was very commendable, but thank you to
we wanted the parents at St. Anne's School and all the parents of the schools in the area to know that this was going to happen, so they could opt to get their kids out of the way, to just reduce the amount of traffic flow that was going to come down the Natural Bridge corridor. So I'm glad that everything worked out successfully, and again, we weren't on the news for any bad reason, and so that's a win for us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Debbie, did you have a question? I'm sorry, Councilwoman Ross.
It's okay. So what is the process in regards to having, the police person at the junior high? The resource person?
So, tentatively, I've received several phone calls today, in reference to some of the issues that we've had at the school, and it sounds like they're agreeable to meeting with us and signing the contract and placing our SRO back in the building for the safety of the children and the constituents. And then hopefully we'll have some stakeholder meetings with regards to the juvenile delinquency issues in the corridor immediately following the installation of our SRO back into the school. They sound motivated as of today, so.
All right. Thank you.
And we do have a date for this, correct?
A date for
Yeah. You said you was gonna meet with the,
Oh, for the school?
yeah,
Well, they called me today because they're getting a lot of questions. There was a
Right.
firearm in the school yesterday.
Oh.
And so there's a lot of pressure on the school, that and some other really big incidences that have happened at the school since our SRO was taken out. That there's a lot of pressure on the school, and they're reaching out to us to put the SRO back in the school, and we're
Okay.
relieved because the community needs it.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll be back before the end of the week. I anticipate the contract will be signed by Friday.
Okay.
But we also need to receive payment before we put it back in the school.
Right. Chief, I thought they were supposed to follow up with you last week, the day after the meeting.
yeah, that's what.
To my dismay, I was there.
Right.
I was there.
Yeah. Okay. But thank you for attending that. I know Councilman Saxonhammer and I were only a few of the voices that were celebrating your presence there, so.
I
Yeah, no.
appreciate the support. It's great to look out and see
No,
Normandy
okay.
faces. We had some citizens that were there as well. It was great to have our people in the building expressing their concerns, so it's not just my voice, it was the voice of the community, and I think we should do everything like that. It was great. So thank you for you guys' attendance and your support.
All right.
Moving on. Mr. Yarbrough, any report?
I have nothing to add to what I submitted, but I'll take my.
Thank you. Are there any questions for our Public Works Director?
Yeah, just some questions.
Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, I had questions about the leaf vac. Are you guys gonna come around a second time, or
We haven't finished the first time.
you haven't finished the first time?
We've got Marietta to do yet, we've got Rosedale to do yet, and I've noticed some other leaves that have popped up in areas that we went through. So to answer your question, yeah, we're gonna go through a second time too. We'll keep going until the weather doesn't allow us anymore. Right now, we're slowed down because I was on bereavement leave and our temp, we were without a temp, so we only had one person for a couple of days, and it takes 3 people to run the leaf back. So we'll be back out, leaf back tomorrow if it doesn't rain on us.
Okay.
One question.
I think Councilwoman Rossa was next.
Go ahead.
Dennis, what do you mean by 2 administrative cuts at the end of the month from code enforcement courts?
Those are court administrative where we're ordered, that there's a court order to cut the yards when they're too high.
Oh.
That's part of what code enforcement does, and then we are given the summons to cut the yard.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And when it says other types of work orders 9, what does it mean by other?
I'd have to look them up to see which, there are things that don't fall into normal categories.
Just wondering.
I can get that for you.
Thank you.
Councilman Nelson?
Yeah, I don't know if I can direct this to Mr. Yarborough or Sam, whether you have CDL license to drive the truck?
Or Roosevelt's got the CDL to drive the leaf truck.
Okay, because I did see you driving the truck, and you know, we're high risk now with our insurance.
I've already been told, and I'm not driving.
Okay, all right, because I'm just trying to protect the
Eyes
city.
are everywhere.
Yeah, protect the city, because we're, you know where we are. Thank you.
Any other questions? Moving on. Sam, would you like to highlight the October financial report?
Mr. Ellis.
Oh, hello.
Right on
Good
time.
timing.
Oh, and good evening to everyone. Please pardon my tardiness. I have a lot going on with work, but I'll try to get through it. Kind of hoarse right now, so I'm going to ask for grace with regard to reading the narrative. You'll happen to have that as well as the report that was given by Angela Dorn. Again, we noted a net loss of about $356,000 just for the month of October. But of course, you know, in a new start of a fiscal year, we always had a slow start, so that would pick up later on in December and January with the tax revenues, of course. And then the summary of the general fund balance, we have about $560,000 in our general fund. Again, as far as the income is concerned, we are a little bit under where we would like to be based on the budget remaining, which is 93.3. We would like to see it at around 91.7 or lower, which would indicate that there's more money coming in than budgeted. But again, we're in the earlier part of the year. And also with the expenditure by department, we do happen to have a lot of expenses, particularly in police, administration, and street in comparison to the budget. And I'm pretty sure Mr. Johnson could explain that in a little bit more detail. With regard to the weight, again, 91.7 is approximately where we would want to see after 1 month of activity. But again, pretty sure there was some extenuating circumstances with it being that large in 1 month. So that's all I have for now.
So if I may, there was a glaring difference between $300,000 loss in the first month, and from what I heard you just say, that's not that unusual because it's the start of the year, so revenues haven't caught up yet,
Right.
and you're not concerned with that.
No, not at all.
Thank you.
But you also said it's never been that much, right?
No, I didn't say that. I will say that you will see at least 6 figures in October. Yeah, yeah. But again, it's just because you're starting out the new year and all the money hasn't come in yet for the entire year. So, like I said, probably start of, like the end of November is when it'll start coming in. And it'll come out through December, January, and probably the end of February as well.
Yeah, and I could add some context to that. So on the revenue side, we usually see larger disbursements and.
Excuse me, if you could, please, we've got some chatter going on that's making it difficult to hear. Thank you.
We usually see larger disbursements in certain months that align with the property tax. So in January and May, we see large disbursements because that's when people pay their property tax and it gets funneled through the St. Louis County and makes it to us. And so in those months, we catch up on the revenues, right? It's not something that gets received monthly. So when you look at it from a month by month basis, like Charles says, there's fluctuations. And then on the expenditure side, especially the large start to some of the departments have to do with insurance. Insurance is due at the beginning of the policy year, both for workers' compensation, and we actually got our property and liability insurance split up into 3 payments, one in October, one this month, and then I believe the final one is due at the beginning of February. So Yes, that's what it's gonna look like, and if you go back last year, it definitely looked like that. There's just, especially at the beginning of the year, we have a lot of expenses, and haven't, so it's gonna work itself out by the end of the year.
So Sam, I want to ask you a question. So are we behind in contract city money? Are those monies coming in or?
Well, there's the topic that was already discussed with the school district, but beyond that, issues getting that contract signed. But beyond that, no, we're not having any issues with payments within municipalities that I'm aware of, at least.
Okay.
Thank you. If there's no other questions, is there a motion to approve the October 2023 financial report?
So moved.
There's a motion, is there a second?
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Ms. Evans, can I speak with you after the meeting?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Next item on the agenda, under old business, Council Bill 23-27, this is our second reading. An ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending Chapter 220 nuisances, Article 2 weeds and Chapter 510 streets, sidewalks, and public places in general regarding obligations of property owners to maintain abutting or adjacent rights of way. We discussed this at last month's meeting. We discussed it at the workshop. There's been no changes. Is there a motion to adopt Bill 23-27?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
One second.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah,
Please.
I read it through again, and so our conversations initially was the street area where the city owns. And so now it's pretty detailed in regards to maintenance. And are we gonna have enough, is Rick gonna have enough time to supervise this? How is it gonna be issued? Is it gonna be ticketed, or do you get permission from the landowner to go to these other areas to be able to supervise this kind of service?
So if your question is specific to the easements behind the house, I think that's what you're talking about. That would probably be complaint-based, because you can't see it from the street. And then if a neighbor has a complaint, they're gonna allow the code inspector to come into their yard, see the problem, and then it can be addressed.
So the complaint is not necessarily the actual person's home, it's someone else's.
Anybody can complain about a nuisance like
And
this.
so then, does that complaint then give the right to Rick to go onto the property?
No. He can go on the neighbor's property or an adjoining property with permission, visualize the nuisance, and then he can take action.
What about the utility involvement with this? Because as of these discussions, previous utility was taking care of it, then they dropped that. But now, if they need to get in, they take care of it. They talk with the owner of the house and clear out whatever is needed for them to go get into the utilities. So why is it necessary for us to have a more detailed ordinance with this?
Mayor, if I may.
Please, I was gonna.
So, unless I'm misunderstanding the particular properties involved, a utility easement is not the same as the right-of-way, right? Where the right-of-way, the city's right-of-way is property separate from the parcel adjacent to it, whereas the utility easement is truly an easement over property that is owned by the property owner. It's not that the property owner is responsible for taking care of Amron's property adjacent to the property owner's property. It's their own property, it's just that Amron has an easement to get in there and do what they need to do, but
So you're
whether
saying,
there's an easement or not, the property owner is already responsible for taking care of that because it's their property, right? Does that make sense?
yeah, it does, and so then I'll give the example at Circle, the corners there, are a nuisance. And so who owns those corners? If it's the county, then what do? We ticket the county? If people can't see the stop sign, if people can't see the street signs, if, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I will again defer. I would suggest that if it's the county, we either convince them to maintain it or we maintain it ourselves. I can't imagine.
But if it's the right of way, if the issue is that there's something in the county right of way that is not being maintained, but it's, and again, maybe I need to see a picture of it, right? Because, I mean, a lot of times just the physical structure of these spaces and these right of ways will play a difference in how the legal analysis plays out. But, right, what this ordinance would do is make the adjacent property owner responsible for maintaining the right of way, right? But maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Well, I was told that those corners are, we don't own that land, that we don't know who owns that land. We're assuming it's the county that owns that land. And, the stop sign is not seen well. If you're on South Florissant and you wanna turn left, you don't see the street sign, and so with this ordinance, I'm just giving examples. With this ordinance then, if someone complains about those corners, then what are we going to do as a city then?
I think I can answer that question.
Please.
And so you had a few different questions, so I just want to confirm what Andy said. You had a concern about easements in people's backyard. If they don't maintain that, that is already an ordinance violation with how our ordinances are constructed without this. It's already, it's overgrowth on their property. Doesn't matter if it's on a utility easement or not. That's already an ordinance violation, right? So whether we pass this or not tonight, we usually deal with those things in the backyard on a complaint basis.
Yeah.
To your question about the right-of-way, if someone has a property that backs up to a right-of-way, and you are mentioning some properties, and I think we've talked about this before. I mean, we do know who own those. We know who the owner of records are. That's public information. And with this ordinance, we could issue a ticket, an ordinance violation, for an ordinance violation to those property owners for not maintaining their land all the way up to basically the pavement. Here's their property line, here's the pavement. This ordinance is saying you're responsible for this as well, right? And to answer your question about how are we gonna take care of it, usually we have two methods. We can, write a ticket or abate the nuisance ourselves and submit a tax bill. In the instance of the right-of-way here, we actually can't do the second one because it's not their property and we can't submit a tax bill for something that's not on their property, but we can issue a ticket for municipal ordinance violation.
I don't understand why we couldn't, I didn't understand that second point.
Well,
About the tax. Why can't we do that?
Well, because when you cut someone's property, you submit a tax lien on their property. When they pay their property tax, they pay the bill. But if we were to abate that, it's not technically on their property. So we can't submit it for tax lien, if that makes sense.
Better.
Thank you. We have a motion, we have a second. Are there any other comments on this bill? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland?
Yes.
Councilman Sachsenheimer?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilman Hong?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ingrosso?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Campbell is not present.
Motion carries. Bill 2327 is adopted as ordinance number
797.
797. All right. Moving on. Second reading of Bill 23-28, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending Chapter 645 Video Service Providers, Article 2 Video Service Regulations regarding gross revenues and video service provider fees. For those who are unfamiliar with this bill, it puts Normandy's code in line with state statute. Is that
That is correct,
accurate?
Mayor.
Is there a motion to adopt Bill 23-28? We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any comment? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland?
Yes.
Councilman Sachsenheimer?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilman Hong?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rasso?
Yes.
Motion carries. Bill 23-28 is adopted as ordinance number
798.
798. Thank you. Next item of business. Council Bill 2329, the second reading, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending the adopted fiscal year 2024 budget of the City of Normandy. Again, this is the second reading. There are some changes. I'll let Sam describe to you. There were two changes, I believe.
Please do, Sam.
So the general fund, there were no changes in the general fund, I believe. All the changes were related to the Parks and Stormwater Sales Tax Fund, and that's on page 10 of Exhibit A.
Of course, I can get that one.
And the changes were, we specified some of the expenditures it adds a reference to to the ordinance regarding site plan, and it adds a reference to the mixed use ordinance. That way, it just, so this one just kind of cleans up what was there before.
Okay.
All right, and again, this was many months of work, so it's gonna be a lot to absorb and digest, read through it. Andy's offered.
Send me an email.
Send him an
Give me a
email
call.
and-
We'll talk. I'm happy to talk you through it. I really love zoning law, so. And so I'll keep you on the phone for an hour if you tell me about
And I will
this.
tell you, this is really a lot cleaner than what we had, very, very much cleaner than what we had to navigate prior to this.
Are we gonna grow for 10,000 more people to get to this? No, it just seems like it's a larger, you're covering everything that could move forward and for us to grow. So it's very
We
complete.
hope.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
We hope, but we think it also provides, it also provides flexibility and it provides it provides predictability, right? So I think all of those things will help incentivize and spur development. That's the hope, at least.
Right, and especially since we're gonna have very similar actions taken right next door to us. To our west, I guess, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
All right, a lot to read this for the holiday, light holiday reading. Okay, moving on.
a lot to economic.
Yeah. Okay, resolution 2341, a resolution of the city of Normandy, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to accept bids for tree cleaning and removal of public trees. This bid was put together by, and Sam put that in his report. Beyond Housing put the bidding process together. There were 7 companies bidding on this, and so we got good bids on the work. Is there a motion to adopt resolution 2341?
Can we discuss this?
After,
Yes.
if we have a motion and
I'll
a
make a
second.
motion, I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comment, questions?
Yep.
Yes,
Tony, please.
the list, did Beyond Housing come up with this list?
I understand that their arborists did.
Arborist?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
they went through those.
Well, quite a while back, this list has actually been floating around, and I believe there was an email out to the council, and there was some feedback about some trees as well, and I believe those should have made it on the list. If the arborist went out and found that there was a critical risk. And so this is basically a big catch-up. If you get through this list, which is 13 removals and 59 prunes, then we're looking at basically being caught up on the really critical risk that we have in our urban forest here in Normandy. So, and I see Councilwoman Cleveland has her hand, but I do want to address Councilwoman Rosso's question that she brought up during her report about the tree on Normandy Place. And again, so I believe the request that the resident just didn't like, there was healthy branches and they're growing, towards her house. And that did not make it on the list because this is mostly concerned with critical risk. And you can see on the list, there's site comments, so you can see that basically what got it put on the list. So 2 to 4 inches in deadwood was kind of the minimum thing to get it onto the list.
But Sam, the resident doesn't understand that, and she was never called other than me, and her calling me to explain that by someone in a more leadership position. So if Joe went over there and interacted with her for 10 or 15 minutes, I think she would have been satisfied, and her answers to her questions could have been directly from a professional. That's what she's calling me about. She's interacting with me, she's left messages here, she's emailed here, and she's getting no one responding. So
So if the main criticism was about the communication and rather than it not being on the list, I'll accept that. I will say that I know different staff members have spoken to her, but I totally understand your concern.
And then that sidewalk, which is different, and we've both discussed an approach to it, and an order was supposed to be put in, and I don't know where that's going. She's not hearing anything about that. She's interacting with me, and I'm saying I'm in communication with them, email them, call them. I hope that they return your call, and so she
And
just wants
if you have her
information.
contact information, I'd like to reach out with her directly by the end of the week.
I'll email you her telephone number.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and
I think Karen's next, and then, go ahead, please.
How old is this list?
I would have to go back in our email. I know that a version of it went out, I believe in early summer.
Of this year?
Yeah.
The reason why I asked, because there's a tree on Dortmund that is across the street, and that it's dangerous. And there's one on Portchester. I see there's one on here for Portchester, there's one on Portchester, I know that tree is dead. And it's leaning over, so that's that's why I asked how long this list been, when did they do these trees assessments? They missed a couple of trees on Ward 1.
yeah, because there's,
Go ahead, go ahead.
because there's one on Kirkland that's buckling the street, and it sits in front of this gentleman's house. He's been coming here for the last couple of months, and we talked about that, the pin oak on Kirkland
Yeah,
that's buckling the
But,
street.
and I will tell you, the reason that probably didn't make the list is because it's a healthy tree.
But
The arborist goes out and said, well, they're not gonna cut down a tree because it's buckling the street. The buckling the street might be a different issue for public works, but it's not a tree that's gonna make the removal list because it's buckling concrete. It's a big healthy tree, but it's a
Well,
monster tree.
And to that point, this list is using grant funds. We got $25,000 from Missouri Department of Conservation. And your removals and prunes have to be directly related to critical risk. So again, it's about safety hazard as far as like a limb could fall on a car, on a person, or a tree could fall, right? It's about mitigating those risks. So, and this is, we got quite a bit of tree work done this past year, and I really look to getting more tree work done in the future, and having the tree board creating an entire urban forestry management plan for the city. But right now, we're way behind, and this uses a grant to get us caught up on the really bad stuff. And I'm sure even after this, there's gonna be dead limbs that you'll see, and hopefully we can get those next year.
Well, let me add this. We're not gonna correct all of our problems with this list, but this is the grant dollars that they gave us, and we're paying for it with it, and they put together the list. So I still would recommend that we adopt this resolution, get this work done. Yeah, there's gonna be more work to do. There's no denying that, but that doesn't mean we don't wanna do this. No.
Can I speak?
Please.
We're still healing. I see this healing from the tree incident that happened last year. And this list that we have, who put together the list of trees here?
The arborist at Beyond Housing.
Beyond Housing?
Was that Jack or
Is that
Joe?
Doug Seeley?
So I believe,
Or does.
so Doug Seeley actually doesn't work for Beyond Housing anymore,
He's gone?
But this was put together, I believe when this list was put together, Doug was
He
still
was still
there.
here, yeah.
But I believe it was actually Jack. And so now the two guys are Jack McDonald and Joel Olkey.
We're normally is a tree city, of course, we know that. And I think everybody's got a tree in their yard that's suspect, they can come down any time. So we got citizens that come to our meetings, and they're here and they're calling out for their safety. This young man here, this guy here, he's been here several times, and he's crying out because I'm sure he's fearful for that tree in his yard. We all can do that, but I think that we need to look at this list, and I'm sure there's a tree here that can pass to get one that we know that's dangerous to our residents, because we're here to represent the residents. The grant and these people here, they're gonna make money because they're gonna cut trees down. and they have professionals to do it. And the thing is we need to, think about our residents, the ones that are seniors, that are fearful for their life and their family. And if it's one tree that we need to go in, I don't care if it's a healthy tree, if it's unhealthy for that person to live in that home, knowing that any minute that tree can fall and kill someone. You know, that's my concern.
I'd like to reply, if it's a healthy tree, it's not gonna fall and kill someone. And I would respectfully disagree that we go through this list. That was the purpose of getting a professional arborist to make an unbiased assessment, no political considerations as to prioritize these trees, which ones need to come down now, and which ones need to come down in the next round. And this is the list that an unbiased arborist came up with. So I don't think it would be appropriate for us to go through this and say, well, the guy down the street from me.
Well, I mean, this is our
You
city,
know,
this is our city.
It is, but I think the best decision for us to make as a council would be to rely on a professional to determine the most pressing needs of our tree canopy and what needs to be done with it. We're not professionals in that field, and I think we should rely on a professional opinion to make those decisions.
Well, I'm just saying, we made that mistake last year. We had professionals, mark trees, and we didn't get it done professionally, and we had problems. And we're still living behind that, So I'm just saying that we need to look in terms of, taking care of our citizens. That's all I'm saying, that's all I got to say.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Hey, I'll just add one more comment. So, again, early summer, this list was put together. I believe it was sent out to the council so you guys could look it over. And there were a couple trees that were added because and the arborist went back out and looked at it and said, yes, I missed that. Then this list was actually used to submit the grant. So this is what we told NBC that we were gonna remove. And then we just had a sealed bid process where we had 7 different companies submit. So at this point, we can't really pick and choose. Well, we can remove trees from the list if we want to, but these trees were part of a sealed bid process. We could add a tree here or there if there's something that is a critical risk, a tree that it could fall down any minute. But I believe most of those trees should be in these 13 removals that are on the list. So if there's something that's not on the list, let us know, and if it truly is a critical risk, we can just have it done
An act of
as a
God,
one-off.
I don't care how strong the tree is, an act of God, lightning or anything can knock a tree down, storm, anything. So, that's all I got to say.
Well, and when the tree board gets together, they can establish the tree plan, and however, big of a canopy we want, there's cost and benefits to trees.
Just look into it, that's all I'm
Sure.
asking.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Look into it.
Any other questions or comments? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of adopting resolution 2341? Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
So, one more question before we move on. So you mentioned as far as the tree that's buckling the street, that Dennis can go out and take a look at it?
He certainly can.
Okay.
Yeah.
You saying it?
No, it's for-
I mean, there's that's a major
Yes, yes.
road renovation.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Moving on, resolution 23-42, is there a motion to adopt resolution 2342, a resolution of the city of Normandy, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to enter into a contract with Weiss Design Group for the provision of professional services related to the Holzell Park Municipal Park Grant Commission project.
So moved.
Is there a motion to adopt resolution 2342?
Yes.
We have a motion, is there a second? Any comment, questions? This is for our new Hosel Park project, and Weiss did the initial conceptual on it. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 7, added to the agenda is Resolution 23-43, a resolution of the City of Normandy, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to accept a proposal from Axon Enterprise Incorporated for the lease of body-worn cameras and dashboard cameras. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 23-43?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, is there a second? All right, a little background on this, and you can jump in anytime you'd like, Chief. This is a little pressing because this is a grant that's gonna pay for this. And if we don't pass this meeting, if this goes to the next meeting, the price is gonna go up on December 31st. So it's grant dollars, and these cameras that they're going to lease also tie into the existing system that we have, the flock camera system. And is there anything you'd like to add?
We really need to get it approved.
I'm all about body cameras. I think it's an incredible idea.
So Chief, we got a grant for the entire,
Major Washington wrote a grant to the Department of Public Safety. It was approved for $25,000. So these funds are available to us for a limited time. And we want to make best use of the funds because like the mayor indicated, Flock sent out a notification to all of its user end clients, letting us know that the lease subscriptions, not just for the in-car cameras, but like the existing ones that we have, if you don't enter into a 5-year agreement with them, then next year the price goes up. On the standard package, the price is up by almost, I think it's $500 or $1,000. It went from $2,500 to $3,500 per camera. So we just paid $3,500, or $25 for each Flock camera, but we did a 1-year subscription on our Flock cameras. So next year, if we renew, we'll renew at a higher rate. We don't want to go into this with the in-car camera system that's compatible with the Flock cameras at a higher rate if we wait. It's just not good use of the grant funding.
I do want to clarify that this only gets dash cams and body cams and the traffic unit.
Correct, it's in for 2
So this
years.
is not for the entire department. We are looking into grants that would get body worn cameras for the entire department, but too early to really report any good news on that, so.
will we be able to get a grant every year?
Well, okay, and that's a good
This
question.
grant pays for 5 years. It's a 5-year contract.
Yeah, it's a 5-year lease, but all the payments are due on the first payment. So it's kind of how the Axon people who usually lease, were able to fit their product into the grant, which says you have to spend the money by this date, which is only like within a year. So they front load it and we get it for 5 years, and we get to use grant money for it.
Right.
And they take care of everything's covered, maintenance and everything is covered by them, so there's no existential cost at the city.
That's a good thing.
All right.
And we do have body worn cameras right now on a trial basis because of our relationship with Axon, because we have tasers through them and now we have the software through them. So we do have officers that are using body worn cameras right now.
And Chief, are these body cams, are they like center mount, are they like side mount or
So
head
this
mounts?
brand is for in the vehicles. They don't come out of the
Okay.
vehicles. They're actually tied in with the Flock cameras.
Gotcha.
And the reason we gave them to the traffic cars is because the beat cars, ideally, unless they're assisting another unit, they should be in their beat. But the traffic cars go everywhere. So we wanted to make the best use of the software with the person that goes everywhere and sees everything. So that's why we stuck them in the traffic.
Okay, gotcha.
So are there
It's
any
really
financial, is there anything financial from the city that the city has to pay?
My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is it's $0 to
Zero
the
match
city of
grant.
Normandy.
Zero money, right?
Zero match grant.
Okay.
The kind of money we like.
That's the best.
Right. Zero money.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, are there any other signups for citizens' comments? At this time, I'd like a motion to go into closed session to discuss a real estate issue.
Can I make a motion?
Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland?
Yes.
Councilman Sachsen?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilman Long?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso?
Yes.
Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.